Good Tuesday morning and welcome to Korea Today.
During her first parliamentary address, President Park Geun-hye says she will respect and accept the agreement of the National Assembly regarding the controversial issues raised by the opposition parties.
A key former presidential aide takes blame for the missing summit transcript. Details coming up in the headlines.
And the Korean won showed its strongest forex rate against the Japanese yen yesterday, coming up on In Print.
And college entrance exam is a life-changing process for many students in Korea. How are they preparing for the last step of getting into the university? I have more on that coming up.
One of the 5 major game exhibitions in the world, G-Star 2013, came to a grand finale. We'll look at the latest and hottest trend in the mobile and online game market. Smog from China is bringing fine particulate matter over to Korea's skies. Will wearing a mask protect you? And does eating pork help? We'll answer those questions and more on this Tuesday, November 19th, 2013.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And a good Tuesday morning to you. You're watching Korea Today.
Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the season's first snow yesterday. I certainly did. I went out and greeted the first snow with open arms, but it came 5 days later than last year. And with the season's first snow, you'd think winter is here, but not, according to the Korea Meteorological Administration.
Well, I was actually thinking that the snow came a little bit too quick, but 5 days later. And it's not exactly winter yet, so hold your horses, because winter is officially defined as the first day when average temperatures remain below 5 degrees Celsius. And also, if you have been worrying that winter is getting longer, it's actually not, because according to statistics and according to reports, now due to climate change, Seoul's winters have shrunk by 17 days in the last 40 years, which may be a bad thing.
All right, we'll begin Korea Today on this Tuesday morning with a check of the day's headlines.
We kick off our headlines at the National Assembly, where President Park Geun-hye addressed Parliament for the first time on Monday. There, she emphasized that Parliament is at the center of politics, leaving the door open for accepting an independent probe into the alleged state spy agencies meddling in last year's presidential election.
최근 야당이 제기하고 있는 여러 문제들을 포함해서 무엇이든 국회에서 여야가 충분히 논의해서 합의점을 찾아 주신다면 저는 존중하고 받아들일 것입니다.
Later in the day, the ruling Saenuri Party decided to accept the opposition DP's persistent demand to set up a special committee on reforming the National Intelligence Service, but it refused to launch a special probe into the election scandal, citing the ongoing investigation into the case as its reason. The opposition DP insisted the Saenuri Party accept its demands for a special probe as well, with one of the lawmakers saying rice cannot be cooked with lukewarm water. After days of confusion, his memory seems to be back. A key former presidential aide to late President Roh Moo-hyun said Monday it was his fault that the revised transcript of the 2007 Inter-Korean Summit talks were not transferred to the National Archives. Cho Myung-gyun, the former presidential secretary for security, said he believed the revised minutes filed under EG1, the digital work management system used back then, would automatically be moved to the National Archives of Korea. Cho went on to say it was a simple mistake and there was no intention to hide the content of the transcript. This comes a day after Cho claimed to not remember whether he had received orders from former President Roh not to transfer the minutes. Wrapping up a 4-month probe, the Seoul Central District Prosecutor's Office concluded Cho and Baek Jong-chun, Roh's senior security secretary, intentionally deleted the original draft of the transcript, revised it, and then did not file the revised version. But controversy still continues. President Park Geun-hye met with China's top foreign policy maker Yang Jiechi on Monday, telling the Chinese state counselor that his visit was a good chance for the two countries to strengthen trust. She also stressed to Yang that North Korea should demonstrate its commitment to denuclearization through action. Yang conveyed a message from Chinese President Xi Jinping, which expressed hope for a meeting with President Park during next year's Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit, an event Beijing will host. Monday's meeting was one of the agreements reached between President Park and Xi in June and comes amid a flurry of diplomacy for an early resumption of the stalled six-party denuclearization talks involving the two Koreas, the United States, China, Japan, and Russia. The Korean government will announce a new list of victims from Japan's brutal colonial rule of Korea, including those who were drafted into the military by force later today. Government officials say the list includes some content that was unknown until now and could come in handy during negotiations with Japan. The documents that were found while moving the Korean embassy in Japan have been transferred to the National Archives of the Ministry of Security and Public Administration. The list contains the names of more than 200,000 Korean victims, including those involved in the famous March 1st movement, one of the earliest public displays of Korean resistance during the Japanese occupation.
And good morning, everyone. It's not just the weather that's cold here in Korea. The political climate, as you may have sensed, has been chilly as well. Thus, aside from matters of governance, many onlookers were watching the president's speech yesterday to see how the opposition parties would respond. And in fact, there had been discussions leading up to the speech on what would be appropriate for their expression of displeasure, but mostly in the end, decorum was kept. 중앙일보's front page image captures President Park Geun-hye leaving the main conference hall after her address. You can see ruling Saenuri Party lawmakers seeing her out with applause and handshakes, and in the background are lawmakers of the main opposition Democratic Party remaining seated. It's worth noting here that most of the DP lawmakers did stand for the president's entry. Meanwhile, a quick look at the headline that is under the image. It reads, following president's parliamentary address, lawmaker and security agent clash. And that minor clash did happen after the president's speech as DP lawmakers gathered outside the steps of the National Assembly in an act of protest. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our next newspaper to see how it covered it. 동아일보's main headline on yesterday's address reads, ball in court of rival parties now. Wrestling begins. And as you heard in the headlines, rival parties were able to find common ground on the need for a special committee to reform the nation's spy agency. But the DP is maintaining that a special committee must go hand in hand with a special probe of the National Intelligence Service and its alleged election meddling. As the president has spelled out that she would support bipartisan plans, the newspaper and its experts say that it's up to the rival parties now to ably compromise in order to untangle the backed-up lawmaking process. And scooting over to Gyeongyang Shinmun, its headline over there reads, special probe on presidential race, intervention rejected after all, forecasting more stormy clouds ahead for the two rival political parties. DP leader Kim Han-gil said he did not see a glimmer of hope in the president's address. Meanwhile, the paper reports the president added she would give the parliamentary address every year. And we'll leave that story there for now. The front page image shows a scene out of Ewha Women's University in Seoul yesterday. We told you the country could see snow on Monday, but the sheer denseness of the snow flurry, I think, did catch many by surprise. The image title reads, First Snow. Who will you meet? And the caption says the sudden shower of the white stuff caused many to stop for a moment to look up and smile. In that case, she's taking a picture. There, one passing student was heard saying into her phone, I know you're busy preparing for job applications, but it's the first snowfall, so don't you think we should meet? The joys of young love. All right, let's go ahead and scoot over to Mail Gyeonggi now, our Mail business newspaper, before heading over to yesterday's closing numbers. The main headline over there reads 100 yen at 1,056 won, highest in 5 years. The Korean currency also ended down against the greenback at 1,057.9 won to the dollar yesterday, gaining value for the third day in a row. And the paper says the rising value of the won was affected by comments made by U.S. Federal Reserve Chairperson nominee Janet Yellen, who said the Fed would not remove the current measures too soon against an underperforming U.S. economy. The included graph, meanwhile, shows the Korean won rose to the highest rate against the Japanese yen since September 2008. The article adds that it's unclear how the government could intervene, as the correlation between exports and the exchange rate are not as strong as it used to be. Korea did record a trade surplus last year despite its currency's gains against both the dollar and the yen. And with that, we will wrap your look at what's in print on this Tuesday. Next up are your closing numbers from Monday.
Hope you were able to make the most out of the snow yesterday, because we're not getting any of that today. It's just going to be a colder day here in Seoul.
Well, it just wasn't that much snow to stack up, so you couldn't really do anything about it or with it, but enjoy it. But for a look at today's weather forecast, we'll go over to Lee Dami, who joins us. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone, or should I say cold morning, everyone. Today I'm reporting live from Seongnam, Gyeonggi-do. Right now I did bundle myself up with gloves, a scarf, and my winter coat, but it is quite difficult standing outside, still outside, because there are sharp and gusty winds that are blowing at the moment. Now lows are at -2 degrees Celsius, but our body temperatures are going to feel much colder than that, so all I can say is make sure to bundle yourselves up. Now yesterday we did see first snow in many areas of Korea, including Seoul. As a matter of fact, over in Cheongju, about 5 centimeters of snow has already piled up. There are heavy snow advisories that have been issued over in Chungcheongdo, Jeollabuk-do, and Jeju Island. So if you are in those areas, then please be careful on the roads and on the streets, because there might be the snow might have turned into icy, slippery patches due to the cold weather. With that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the numbers for today. Seoul's highs will only reach up to 4 degrees. Daejeon and Gwangju at 6, Daegu and Busan at 9, and Jeju Island at 11 degrees. Now tomorrow, most of the nation will be seeing clear conditions. That's all I have for the weather. I'll be back in a few moments.
It's been almost 2 weeks since hundreds of thousands of students had to sit for Suneung, or the college scholastic ability test. Now, the test may be over, but it's still crunch time for the students trying to get into the university of choice. And our Kim Chan-ju joins us for more on this story. Good morning to you. It's really not over until it's over, right?
No, it's not over. There seems to be more challenges and hurdles ahead for students. And while the exam is over now, and then students now have to look into which universities they have to apply to according to their initial unofficial scores. And the applications will begin in December, and depending on admission requirements, they have to prepare various things such as essay tests and portfolios, etc.
Right, so one hurdle after another, it seems like. And this, especially this year, there's a lot of confusion and a lot more that students have to prepare for.
That's right. It's because the government decided to implement the new type of college scholastic ability test, type A or type B exams for students at different academic levels, and that made it quite difficult to predict the results among students. So many of them are trying to make the best of this opportunity by preparing for the essay tests. But because of this new format, it makes it very risky to get the reference from last year's entrance exam because it's so different. So that's why many students are aggressively seeking more information about the admission requirements, which led to more people turning up to the so-called information sessions taking place nationwide. So I went to check out details.
This year's college scholastic ability test involves a new system where test takers choose between Type A and B, Type A being easier than Type B. But this new format is expected to create quite a bit of confusion for this year's test takers. Many students are still keeping busy even after the entrance exam is over, since they are preparing for their college admissions. According to their unofficial scores, they need to find out what admission procedures and requirements various universities have.
As a test taker in my senior year in high school, I realized that there are complex elements of the admission process and a lot of things to do. So it has been difficult.
The new exam system makes it harder to use last year's results as reference. Not only that, many universities have admission procedures that vary, and that's why being strategic about where students apply to is just as important as the actual score received on the exam.
Since it is difficult for high schools to obtain data from high to low-ranking universities, information provided by entrance exam academies can be of great help for not only students but also teachers.
Since the end of the test, many people have been attending information session to learn about admission requirements.
뒤로 서주세요. 이쪽 뒤로. 죄송합니다. 이쪽 뒤로 좀 나가지고 서주시면 더 빠릅니다.
The session is on a first-come, first-served basis, which requires hours of waiting in line before the session begins. If the seats fill up, many are still willing to attend the session.
Usually briefing session of entrance exam starts about a week after scholastic ability test is over and when application period begins. The session continues on until December. Notable thing is that not only many universities hold these sessions, but also institutions or organizations specializing in college entrance exams.
I have been attending almost all the briefing sessions as long as my schedule has allowed so far.
It's so difficult to apply for colleges these days. I wish it were based only on test scores like the old days.
Since it is difficult for students and parents to attend sessions held by each university, many are turning to expert institutes that offer a sweeping view of entrance requirements and tips on how to prepare. And in many cases, parents attend the sessions instead of their children who are still busy with their schoolwork. Despite it being a weekday, the venue is packed.
Listening to outside information rather than using just what I know provides a more accurate and wide range of information for me.
It's much better to attend these sessions. It feels like you can see light in the dark cave. Knowing the right information for parents combined with the students' skills would become the foundation for entering a better university. The sessions help a lot.
The briefing session is held to analyze students' exam results and estimate which universities are available for them at the upcoming application period. We provide information for university admissions and give counselings on how to successfully enter their ideal schools.
These guidance sessions for college admission became popular from the early 2000s when the admission process underwent a reform with added variables in order to take into consideration students' diverse talents and abilities.
I went to a couple of briefing sessions before entering the university. I didn't know what type of admissions there were for universities, but I received consulting through sessions and found out which ones I could apply for according to my score.
I came from the provincial area but came to Seoul to attend briefing sessions as there are not many of them held in my region. It helped me to make strategic plans in order to apply the best university I wanted.
On average, hundreds of sessions take place between November and December, and some of them have more than 10,000 attending. And now, with growing demand for information sessions, local governments are jointly hosting these events with education institutions.
I gotta say, brings back some old, not so pleasant memories. Now, you could almost cut the tension in those briefing session rooms. How was it meeting the nervous students and the parents?
Well, since this year was the first year that this dual exam system was implemented, many of the students and parents found that the information session was very helpful. And at the same time, I have to say that the concerns mounted over regular admissions for universities. So apparently more people applied for rolling admissions this year. And according to a recent survey, and the survey actually ran by educational institution, they asked what they thought about this dual exam system. And 90% of students and parents said it was complicated.
Wow, 90%. So we weren't alone in thinking this is a complicated procedure.
That's right. And even more, 95% of teachers said the system was confusing.
95% of the teachers said, well, it's about time the government did something about this complicated procedure and simplify the procedure a little bit.
That's right. As confusions and backlashes continued among students, teachers, and parents, the Education Ministry announced some measures to streamline and improve the university entrance system. So, dual exam system will be phased out from English exam from next year, and then moving on to mathematics and Korean language by the year 2017. And if we look at the government policies now, President Park Geun-hye's main education policy was to improve the college admission system and to simplify the admission process. So the ministry is planning to reduce the number of admission types out there from the current 2,900.
That is a lot.
That's a lot of number, and then down to 1,300 by next year. It's still a large number, but they're trying to reduce it by half
make
next
it
year.
A more simple procedure, right?
Exactly.
Well, in the meantime, Suneung results will be out in about a week, and the application will begin in exactly a month from
That's
now.
right.
So best of luck to all the students out there. Thank you, Chanju, for this story.
Thank you.
All right, still ahead on Korea Today, the golf season has come to an end here in Korea. It was a good year for Korean golfers, both at home and abroad, especially the ladies out on the field. What does the KLPGA have in store for some of the golf's brightest domestic and international stars? We'll be joined by SJ Lee for more on that.
And according to the Korea Creative Contents Agency's 2013 Game Industry White Papers, games account for 67% of all contents exported from Korea. And reflecting the boom in the game industry, the G-Star 2013, which is known as the biggest game exhibition in Korea, was held at the Busan Bexco. And Travis Klein was there, and he joins us today. Good morning.
Good morning. Now, are you part of those 67% that...
Yes, I have to say I have played games throughout my 20s, and I still play a little bit of it, less frequently though.
Because I haven't lived in Korea until I moved here probably like 10 years ago. So I was probably one of those exporters, or one of the people that received the receiving end of those exports, those numbers being very high. I find that countless hours I spent as a youngster playing Mario and Zelda and probably Sonic has pretty much made me who I am today, the nerd that I am. And I was there at G-Star 2013, and we're going to take a look now. It's the perfect arena to check out the latest trends in the gaming industry. G-Star 2013 opened its doors amid heated attention from avid game lovers and those in the gaming industry. I'm here in Busan in front of Bexco, which is the location for this huge Gamers Heaven. It's the global game exhibition, G-Star 2013, and we're going to take a look at what the biggest companies from all over, domestic and abroad, have to offer in game technology. So let's take a look. This year, 512 companies from 32 countries set up 2,261 booths at the exhibition, making it the largest event yet. The companies that received the most attention at G-Star were leading game companies Nexon, Daum, and Blizzard. Korea's top game company Nexon promoted its new game Dota 2, which went online last month. And web portal company Daum unveiled Black Desert, which is receiving a lot of attention as a leading game in the latter half of this year. Also, top global game company Blizzard Entertainment introduced its expansion of Diablo 3, Reaper of Souls, and its new game, Heroes of the Storm. And it's not only computer-based games, but also games with new technology that grabbed people's attention. This device is worn by the game user just like glasses, and with the beginning of the game, it feels as if the player is in the actual game, allowing for a more realistic experience.
Okay, so I was just in a virtual world and I was walking in this haunted house, all these different things. I guess you probably saw it, and then at the end, that ghost scared the living bejesus out of me. So fun, huh?
And with the development of more external devices like this, more games are expected to be enjoyed.
We've actually sold 40,000 of these. We've shipped 35,000. There's going to be 50 to 100,000 developers out there playing with this kit, making new content. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of games being made for it. So within the next few years, you will see VR arrive in a big way.
A variety of other technologies giving players a more engaging experience were introduced at the event and were well received.
This is where they set up camp for all the different mobile games that are available in terms of the ever-going technology with the popularity of small little handheld devices like this.
Proving the popularity of smartphone games, which have developed at a rapid pace starting last year, the scale of the mobile games section was larger and more diverse. This year, the business exhibition floor was much larger with a more than 40% increase in booths, the largest yet to take place, showing growing interest from gaming companies overseas.
More foreign companies are showing interest in doing business with Korean game companies or carrying out joint investment projects.
Outside of the convention center at outdoor booths, promotional events such as survival battles and demonstration zones where anyone can participate took place, offering much to see and enjoy.
It was a good opportunity to see games that we normally can't.
Vaguely somewhere in my head, I thought that games may not be good, but coming here and experiencing it firsthand, it's a lot of fun.
G-Star 2013 was a great venue for many in and outside of the gaming industry to catch up with the latest trends in the market while also having some fun.
Oh wow, it just looks like a gamer's paradise. Tell us your viewpoint about on the G-Star 2013.
Well, it was a lot more large scale, I understand, from last year. The number of booths that were there were up about 7%, and in the video they just mentioned that about the business-to-business videos, or excuse me, the booths that were available, of about 40%, which is a little bit puzzling because you'd think that the consumer would be a little bit more important than all different companies trying to sell their products to other companies and things. I guess there was actually a reason behind that, not many local companies did take part.
Okay, now that might have something to do with the representative Shin Hee-jin of the ruling Saenuri Party, who proposed a bill earlier this year, and this would define, if it was passed, it would define internet gaming as well as digital media content as one of the 4 major sources of addiction. That puts it right alongside alcohol, drugs, as well as gambling, and then that would make it subject to tougher government regulations. Now, that could be a reason that many local companies didn't participate?
That is true. I can only imagine the reasons why that they would propose a bill like this, because I myself, I'm not sure about you, but sometimes I get immersed in these games to where I forget how many hours have passed. I've played a game before where it's been like 12 hours straight. I wasn't even taking a break. Pretty much there was a heated debate, obviously, about these issues, and so that's why they're proposing this bill. Outside of Nexon and Taom, a lot of the big game makers weren't present in those booths, like, for instance, Netmarble, CJ, amongst other big names as well. And there was even a petition signing, like, outside of the venue to actually oppose this bill that they're trying to get passed through law.
Okay, these are the local companies, though, but it didn't really hinder the participation of the international companies that came from abroad to participate.
That is so true, because when you think about like Korean gaming in general, for the past decade, it's ever increasing. The amount of people playing the games is getting more and more. I understand statistic-wise that all of the markets in Europe still can't hold a candle to the market in Korea. So we are bigger than all of the markets in Europe, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Yet, because of this, what's the bottom line? The dollar. And so if all foreign companies see that Korea is investing or they buy lots of games, they want to get their games shown. They want to propose these games to Korea and get their name out there. And so I was actually able to interview one of the top producers of Blizzard, and he got to give us a sneak peek and talk a little bit about the games that they were featuring at G-Star 2013. And actually, we're going to take a look at that interview to close this segment for today.
Okay, all right, we'll look at this interview, and thank you very much for joining us this morning, Travis.
Thank you.
And the leading game developer Blizzard, their booth at G-Star was one of the most popular, and here we were able to meet with top game producer Alex Mayberry.
So Blizzard introduced 4 games at this convention. Can you tell me what they are?
Yeah, Warlords of Draenor, which is the new expansion for World of Warcraft. We have Hearthstone, which has been in beta for a while. It's our online card game. We also have Heroes of the Storm, which takes characters from all of our franchises and puts them together in PvP combat. And then, of course, we have our new expansion for Diablo 3, which I'm the lead producer of, and that's Reaper of Souls.
So this is G-Star 2013. What are your impressions of this, maybe in comparison to other sort of game conventions that you've been to?
You know, I find it incredible, honestly. It's, like you said, it's my first time here, and this show has a lot of energy. It was a lot of travel to get here, and I'm just coming off our own show called BlizzCon. But just being around the players, I'm inspired. I find their enthusiasm and their excitement infectious. You know, as a game developer, we spend a lot of time with our heads down, just working on the game. So it's an awesome opportunity to come here and meet these players who clearly have so much love for what we do. And, you know, for me, it's a great reminder of why I do the work that I do.
What do you think is the trend in gaming these days? What's getting more and more popular?
Well, you know, we're getting to this sort of interconnected age where you play games on your PC, you play games on consoles, on your mobile phone, on your iPads, and so you can take gaming literally anywhere now. And so, you know, as technology continues to advance and we have more powerful devices to play on, we're able to get our games in the hands of more people. You know, it's just a great indicator of companies that are trying to make things that are fun, because I mean, human beings, we really do live for fun, and it is fun that makes life interesting. And so being here where clearly we have so many game players who are here, and what they're interested in is what is fun.
Thank you so much for your time, Alex. Hopefully I'll maybe see you again at one of these different type of conventions, and I hope you have a safe trip home.
Thank you, it's been my pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Still ahead on Korea Today, billowing clouds of smog from China are appearing more frequently across the skies of Korea. With it, they bring chrome, lead, and other hazardous pollutants. We take a look at how to protect the body from fine particulate matter and its dangers.
And let's now check back in with our Dami, who joins us from a place called i-Quarium.
So it's not an aquarium, but it's an i-Quarium.
A digital aquarium.
That's why it's the abbreviation of IT.
We'll find out more from Dami. Over to you, Dami.
I'm back reporting live from i-Quarium located in Seongnam, Gyeonggi-do. Now this is an aquarium that, like none before, it's different and unique from the other aquariums. Because this aquarium has no water. You're probably wondering, what? So through these innovative digital concept, you can see different living organisms of the sea. Now the i-Quarium is divided into 8 different segments. There is the Tunnel of Evolution, where you can see fish from the ancient days to tropical fish. Now, what we see right here are these different types of machines. Now, if you come along this way, I want to go ahead and show you what's really interesting. So through these machines and through this device right here in my hand, you can interact with the fish itself. So what you do is you capture a fish here in this water pool right here, and then you let it loose into the water. Voila, like that. And you can also touch the screen, capture the fish, and find out more information about it. So I think that's what's great about all of this right here. Now, as we move along, into the i-Quarium, we are moving into another section called the Vast Sea. So it kind of looks like a home theater, but it really does feel like I have submerged into the waters, like as if I'm in a submarine. Now, if we look at the screen, what we're seeing is the animal dugong, or the sea pig. Now, you can see that the body of the dugong is a bit similar to that of a whale, but it has a face that looks more like a cow. So the fact that it only eats seaweed, it also has a name called the sea cow. Now, the way that they feed their babies is very similar to that of a human body, or a human being. So back in the days, many sailors actually thought that the dugong were mermaids. Now, here at the i-Quarium, you can see very magnificent and lots of sea creatures through these digital concepts. So I think it's a great idea. And with the cold weather these days, I mean, a lot of people are probably in their homes, on their couches, but you should definitely come out to the i-Quarium. They are open from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can always find more information on their website. This is your look at the i-Quarium. I'm Idami, Korea Today.
Oh, that's very sweet. That's
It is.
Perfect trip for the kids.
That's
and
right.
You.
Well, we're hearing some good news on the women's golf front in the meantime. Golf sensation, also known as the Queen of Serene, Park In-bi just secured a position as Player of the Year in the LPGA. And for more on this story and others, we're joined by SJ Lee. Good morning.
Good morning.
To be here, guys. Of course, it's no surprise that she was able to secure the LPGA Player of the Year title. Why? Because 3 straight LPGA majors to start off the season. Of course, she did fall apart towards the second half of the season, but still 6 tour titles in the season, more titles than any other golfers this season. So congratulations to her for becoming the first Korean to win the LPGA Tour Player of the Year.
Okay, well, it's true that Park In-bi really did have an awesome season this time around,
Right.
but there are other golfers such as Yoo So-yeon and also Chen Ah-yeon, who's ranked at number 5 and 6 in the world, respectively, and also a slew of female golfers who are on fire here in Korea at the KLPGA as well.
All those names that you mentioned, these are all golfers who started off in the KLPGA, and believe it or not, the KLPGA is actually in their 35th year. But we've only been kind of following up on it in the past 5 to 10 years. So it's kind of a surprise how Korea has become such a powerhouse in golf. So we'll find out how they became such a powerhouse in such short period of time. Let's take a look. Last week, the Chosunilbo Postco Championship. The closing match of the KLPGA season tour took place in Suncheon, Jeollanam-do. Since it was the last match of the year, many well-known players from Korea took part. Especially notable, there were Chang Ha-na, Kim Se-young, Kim Yo-ju, 3-star players who battled it out. With the fate of this year's top winner hinging upon the results of this match, the game drew attention from many. And to watch the grand battle, many spectators gathered on the site. As home players continue to improve their skills by the day, they're receiving growing support and interest. Regardless of where their base is, Korean female golfers have been excelling on the field. So what is the secret behind this success? Much effort was put in by predecessors to build a foundation that would enable current female players to show good performance. Starting with Koo Ki, the first Korean female player to go overseas in the 1980s. To Park Se-ri, who won the US Women's Open in 1998. The success of these players opened the doors for many players to follow suit and also vitalize women's professional golf in Korea. Since then, many so-called Se-ri kids who started learning golf thanks to the success of Park Se-ri emerged. Some of them include Shin Ji-hye, Park In-bi, and Yoo So-yeon were outperforming others on the global stage. And they are again becoming role models for the younger players now. Within the KLPGA, depending on performance, players are divided up to compete in the regular tour, the Dream Tour, and the Jump Tour. In the case of the third-tier Jump Tour, only those within the top 3 in prize money are able to compete in next season's Dream Tour. And the same goes for those playing in the Dream Tour.
In order for them to enter into the regular tour the following year, they also must be in the leading three.
The players compete vigorously at the Dream and Jump Tour in order to secure seats. And this not only helps them improve their skills, it's also good practice on the field.
At the golf range in Gyeonggi-do, not far from Seoul, is player Kim Min-ji, who has been playing golf for 7 years now. She practices an average of 7 hours a day. And thanks to this, despite it only being the first year since her debut, she has climbed to prize money ranking number 2 within the Dream Tour. This means next year, she gets to compete in the regular tour.
I usually practice about 7 hours a day and put a lot of emphasis on short games. These days, the weather is cold, so I can't practice as much as when it's good, but even so, I try to practice my strokes at home or train to stay fit.
Currently, there are 953 players registered with the KLPGA, and of them, only some 100 are able to compete in every match. So in order to obtain this status, endless hours of training becomes a necessity. And thanks to this hardcore training, Korean players have gained more competitiveness on the global stage.
Koreans practice for longer hours compared to other countries. And the concentration level is very impressive. That's why I think Korean players are doing so well on the global stage. Players from other countries train intensively for a short period of time, while Korean players repeat their training and practice over and over again, building up their skills that way.
Another important element is the systematic corporate sponsorship. This enables the players to focus solely on their training, leading to a rise in Korean women's golf. Currently, 35 companies are acting as sponsors, which means most players in the regular tour are able to receive corporate sponsorship. In the case of Park In-bi, her main sponsor, KB Financial Group, estimates that thanks to her 3 major championship wins this year, the company has seen roughly $188 million in PR effects.
Just from media exposure, we expect the effects to reach some millions of dollars. And when taking into consideration the image of the country, we would think it would hover above some tens of millions of dollars.
Especially in Korea, corporate sponsorship becomes not only through monetary support, but with also a designated team that provides assistance and manages the player's schedule. Through these teams, players are able to receive professional and systematic help. And with this support, the players are able to compete not only with each other, but with themselves to take their performance to the next level.
You know, we kind of saw why, so many Koreans here in the KLPGA, they're so competitive and they're doing so well right now. But, overall, you have to look at the competitive nature of Koreans, I think, overall. We don't like to come in second. We always want to finish first. And especially because this past season, the KLPGA was so competitive, everyone expects each other to do better and better each year. And not only that, Korea, you have to understand all these sports facilities that we have here, it's top-notch, it's some of the world's best. But the negative aspect is the fact that if you do want to start golf, it's really expensive. Right, the golf courses to go there, it's a couple of $100. If you compare it to like in the States, I remember going golfing, paying only $20, right, to go 18 rounds.
Twilight is like half.
Right, exactly. So that's kind of the negative aspect, which gives us more respect for all these athletes out there still training hard to become the top golfer.
That's right. And next July, there's going to be a match among national players from 8 different countries. How will Korea do in that competition?
Usually I like to, I don't want to jinx anything when it comes to such
Then
things.
don't.
Right.
Maybe you shouldn't.
I would say I'm so confident with the talent that we have here in Korea that it won't be a surprise if Korea does end up winning this tournament.
Yeah, and more people would be looking forward to that match as well as the 2016 Olympics in Brazil and Rio. So I guess more would...
Which Korea will end up winning the gold medal as well.
Well, thank you, SJ, for this story. Now go get ready for sports highlights.
I shall do that.
Coming up later.
All right.
Thank you.
And I am back. Now we're going to kick things off in the KBO. Of course, Chejun Suk, the very last free agent available on the FA market, signed a 4-year deal worth $3.5 billion, or roughly $3.3 million with the Lotte Giants. The FA market officially closed, and let's just say there was a lot of money spent this season. Of course, with everyone expecting this to be one of the biggest FA seasons today, there was a total of 52.3 billion won spent on the free agents, or roughly $49.5 million. But most of that money was spent on the top 4 FAs on the market in Kang Min-ho, Lee Yong-gyu, Chung Gun-woo, and Chang Won-sam, with a total of 27.2 billion won, or roughly $25.74 million. Of course, this year's FA market proving that KBO is slowly becoming a bigger market league. And staying in baseball, but over to the 2013 Asia Series, where the Samsung Lions went up against the Australian champions Canberra Cavalry. Now, Bae Young-soo taking the mound for the Samsung Lions struggles early on, giving up 3 runs in 3 innings of work as Samsung trailed early on. But the Samsung Lions offense come alive late as they rally back to tie this ball game 5-5 before heading into their second straight extra inning game. And unfortunately for the Samsung Lions, the bullpen collapses in the 10th inning as they give up 4 runs, losing this game 9-5 in extra innings as they fail to advance to the finals. And now moving on to football, where the Taeguk Warriors are set to face off against Russia later tonight in Dubai. After Korea beat Switzerland 2-1 last Friday thanks to Lee Chung-young's last-minute goal, they'll now face off against the 19th-ranked Russia. While Korea boasts speed and technique, the Russians have both the speed and the physical strength. Despite all this, the Korean national football team hopes the European stars will continue to shine going into this match later tonight. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SG. Have a great rest of the day and see you guys again for your sports needs.
별빛을 담는 술잔처럼 빛나던 보조개 슬픔에 잠겨 취할 때마다 자꾸 떠올라요. 다시 그 보조개를 볼 수만 있다면 만날 수 있다면 난 너무나 좋겠네. 더 바랄 게 없겠네. 그대만 있어준다면
Recently, Korea's skies have been filled with smog that blew in from China's air. This is the 3rd time this year, and it's been increasing in frequency.
That's right, and those masks are selling like hotcakes, so to speak. And for more on this story, we're now joined by Dr. Alice Hyung-Kyung-dan from Samsung Medical Center. Good morning to you.
Hi, good morning. Yes, so smog and air pollution definitely have been linked with many significant health concerns. Fine particle pollution, which is defined as being less than 2.5 micrometers in diameter, is particularly concerning because it can penetrate deep into the lungs and in some cases even be absorbed directly into the bloodstream. Patients who have lung disease, heart disease, older adults and children are especially at risk. And you may have heard a few days ago there was a case from China.
In China, that's
An 8-year-old girl was diagnosed with lung cancer. And this was attributed by her doctor to poor air quality. And of course, as a neighboring country, we get very concerned, right, when we hear news about the poor air quality coming in from China.
And with the frequency of that blowing over here, I think that is of a big concern. We'll take a look at this report and find out more.
The skies of downtown Seoul have taken on a shade of gray from the smog that has blown in from China. The increase in the level of fine particle matter originating from China in fall and winter season is on the rise. According to records from over the past 3 years, the cases indicating an increase in fine particle matter pollution during fall and winter has continually risen.
Energy consumption in China has grown rapidly over the past 10 to 20 years. And because a lot of the energy-consuming sources are situated on the west side of China, it has a greater impact on Korea. That's why we can only assume damages will increase.
In the winter, the cold northwesterly winds pass through the atmosphere in China and blow into Korea. That's why, with an increase in heating during the winter season in China, it is expected that Korea will see a greater amount of smog blowing into the region. The problem is the large amounts of chrome, lead, and other heavy metals that are included in the fine particles. During this smog alert, it is estimated that there are triple the amount of ultra-fine particles compared to the average yellow dust that blows in from China. The main components of the smog is fine particle matter and ultra-fine particles. In the case of latter, the thickness is only 1/30th of a strand of hair. And with the smog comes an increase of people suffering from its effects. The field that sees the largest increase is in respiratory diseases. Kim Moon-ok says she has recently been suffering from severe coughing and has visited the hospital due to troubles with her respiratory system.
My throat feels rough because of fine particulate matter, and my respiratory system just won't get better. My chest feels stuffy, and my entire body is not doing so well, including my throat.
In the case of ultra-fine particles, they go unfiltered from cilium and mucous membrane in the nose, allowing them to penetrate deep areas of the lungs.
If you breathe in ultrafine dust particles, it can cause skin irritations, or if it gets into your eyes, you can get conjunctivitis. If it travels into your throat, you might experience bronchitis or have trouble breathing. And if it penetrates your heart, you might suffer from angina.
Not only that, the higher the level of fine particle matter in smog, the greater possibility of eye inflammations and eczema. Especially in the case of eczema, studies show that with every increase of 1 microgram comes a 0.64% jump in skin inflammation. In order to reduce the damage from it, it's important to wear long sleeves and gloves in order to reduce the amount of exposed skin, as well as wearing a mask. But are all of the masks out on the market capable of blocking fine particle matter?
I don't think fine particulate matter will get filtered.
For dust, I think wearing a mask would be better than not wearing one.
The Seoul Institute of Health and Environment conducted a test to see how much fine particle matter ordinary and anti-yellow dust masks can block out. In the case of regular masks, they blocked 49% of the fine particle matter, whereas yellow dust masks kept out up to 92% of the substance. That's why when smog from China blows across the country, it's much better to wear an anti-yellow dust or anti-dust mask as opposed to a regular one. Not only that, the Korea Environment Corporation also offers the fine particle matter levels on its website, so it would be good to look it up before heading outdoors. As the smog blowing in from China is only expected to get worse, it's important to take extra cautions and know how to protect the body from these harmful substances.
I mean, it's scary that these fine particulate matters even reach our brain. So what other measures could there be than wearing a mask?
Right, so there are preventative measures that you can take. The first is be aware of the air quality in your region on a particular day. And if the air pollution levels are high, stay indoors, close your windows and doors. Limit the amount of activity that you're doing outside. So rather than run or jog, walk instead. Also stay well hydrated. If your mucous membranes and tear ducts and glands are moist, that will help your body expel the particulate pollutants. Also, you can take your lenses off and wear glasses instead, because the dust can get stuck between the lenses in your eyes and cause irritation. Right, make sure you're washing your hands and face often. And sometimes using air filters can be helpful, especially if you're very sensitive or the air pollution is particularly bad where you live. And I'm sure you've got a lot of questions and concerns regarding this topic, so I prepared a little quiz to clear the air, so to speak, about this topic.
Clear the air, I like that.
So the first question is, eating pork has been proven to help your body clear particulate pollutants. True or false?
I'm going to go True.
Me
'cause
too.
Those restaurants are bustling with people.
Right, they advertise
the oil is supposed to
Make your
wash
choice.
it out. I say false.
Yeah,
That
okay,
can't
so
be true.
that's the answer. It's false. Pork has a lot of zinc, and zinc is an important trace mineral that helps your immunity. It helps with growth and wound healing. But consuming pork has not been proven to have any particular health benefits.
Okay, well, just one more question.
One more quick question.
One
We're
more
running out of time
question.
here.
Okay, so using a wet handkerchief on the inside of a mask is actually helpful for
Definitely.
No, I would say
improving the
no.
filtering quality.
It promotes bacterial
Skeptic,
growth.
aren't you?
Well, actually, so the two qualities of a mask that are important are the penetration size and the fitness of the mask. If you put something in between the mask and your skin, that compromises the fitness, and that can actually decrease the filtering qualities.
I see. We'll keep them in mind. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
You're
for
welcome.
this. All right,
Okay,
that
so-
brings us.
So basically, to wrap it up, I mean, samgyeopsal is not that good for you at the same time. You want to keep your mask. The fitness is the important factor, so make sure you remember that.
That's all from us this Tuesday morning.
All right, have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at 7 a.m.
Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.